If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine, and maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them, from disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball, this is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Hey, warmer from the low. Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the Visa Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you, as we're going to be joined in segment number 2 by one of our good friends, Colby Marchio, who does great work over at Your Betting News and the Up Your Units show. We're going to be chatting with him about what we've all seen over the last few weeks in baseball. Additionally, we're going to be taking a look at what has all been working / not working with him in the player prop market, some of the teams and some of the players that have been treating him well and not so well, and we're diving on Rafael Devers refusing to play first base, so that'll be fun. We're going to be talking about that in the second segment. In the final segment, going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Friday as we touch them all. If you do have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of two ways we offer those in. First one is my Twitter / X timeline at @GUnit_81. Keep in mind, there's naming does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. The other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. And while we did not get in any Twitter / X questions today, everything that is brought to you by EdgeBoost. Over at edgeboost.bet, they make sure that bettors are able to access their funds 24/7, 365 on leap years, 366 days out of the year for all of your gambling-related transactions. And when you go to edgeboost.bet, type in that promo code of Greg, G-R-E-G. That gets you $1 up for a $1 match on your first deposit up to $25. Now let's take a look back at everything that we saw in baseball on Thursday. Try to find some trends and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
The Arizona Diamondbacks get the job done over the LA Dodgers. This by a count of 5-3 for Brandon Pfaadt. Boy, did he battle in this one. He was able to deliver a 6 1/3 inning scoreless for the Diamondbacks. From there, it got a little bit testy out there in the bullpen as you had 2 runs given up in an inning by Juan Murillo, and then Kevin Ginkel gives up a home run in the 9th inning. Going deep for a solo shot, Shohei Ohtani, 11th home run season as Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He gave up a pair of bombs. He gives up 5 runs over the course of 5 innings, doubles his ERA and his earned runs allowed for the season as Gabriel Moreno along Ketel Marte of the Marte Parte both go deep for their first home run of the campaign, and for Moreno, it was in Graham fashion. And for the Dodgers, to the credit of Jack Dreher, very good in long relief. 3 scoreless innings to be able to save much of that bullpen. You did see early on the Baltimore Orioles continue to struggle as the Minnesota Twins, they do find a way to persevere, get the job done. 5-2 the final is for Baltimore. You had Dean Kramer give up 2 runs over the course of 7 innings. Wasn't bad as he does allow a home run in this one to Trevor Larnach, 5th home run of the season. Then you had the combination of Yunier Cano and Gregory Soto. Don't you know, they stunk. They gave up a combined 3 runs in that 8th inning, and for the Minnesota Twins, Bailey Ober got the call because Joe Ryan was sick, and he was pretty solid. 1 run allowed over the course of 5 innings, did allow 8 hits. So the Orioles had opportunities, and they were unable to come through. 2 of 13 with men in scoring position. Cole Sands, Justin Topa, Griffin Jax, Yohan Duran. They're all able to land a scoreless inning to be able to get the job done out there. The Texas Rangers have been your best under team in all of baseball, and they're even more underwhelming as they are now up to 26 unders to 12 overs, shut out by the Boston Red Sox. This by a count of 5-0. Jack Leiter gives up 4 runs in 5 1/3 innings. Jacob Latz, he gives up a home run in 2 2/3 innings. Solo shot to Rafael Devers, who apparently doesn't want to play first base anymore. 6th home run of the campaign, and Brian Bayo does walk 5, 4 2/3 innings, was in a lot of danger, but does not give up any runs as the Rangers leave 10 men on base. From there, Justin Slayton froths out of the bullpen, scoreless. Liam Hendricks scoreless 8th and 9th innings, and Garrett Whitlock a scoreless inning of his own. The Tigers and Rockies played a pair, and the Rockies got blown out in a pair. Outscored by a grand total of, if my math serves me correct, 18 runs. 10-2 was the final in the first one as Casey Mize gives up 1 run in 6 innings. You had a scoreless inning from Sean Gunther, and then a pair of scoreless innings out of Chase Lee for the Detroit Tigers. No home runs, but they go 6 of 10 with men in scoring position as Kyle Freeland. 9 runs, 5 of which were earned, given up in 3 innings. To the credit of Anel Shavili, 3 2/3 innings, allows 1 run and 7 outs out of the bullpen from 1, but he is scoreless to be able to limit the damage, and then in Game 2, the damage just continued. 11-1 the final as Tanner Gordon, 7 runs, 4 of which were earned, allowed in 6 1/3 innings. He just had to wear it in this one. He gave up a 6 spot in the 3rd inning. To his credit, stayed out there, but then Tyler Kinley, 4 outs out of the bullpen. He gives up 4 runs, including a Colt Keith home run. 4th home run of the campaign. You had from there Scott Alexander giving out of the bullpen, and Alan Trejo, the backup second baseman, lent a scoreless inning. So, yay, barely there. And for Detroit, Kadir Montero was not Kadir Montero Bull. He gave up just 1 run in 8 innings. Bo Brisky ending out the bullpen scoreless to be able to complete the job there for the Philadelphia Phillies. They do end up completing the job against the Tampa Bay Rays. 7-6 the final as both starters were solid, and then the bullpens, well, they were not. Jesus Luzardo gives up 2 runs over the course of 5 1/3 innings, including a home run going deep for Tampa Bay. It was home run number 7 of the season for Junior Caminero, and then Yandy Diaz, 6th home run of the campaign. That goes off of Tanner Banks, who gives up 3 runs over the course of an inning. You had Jordan Romano, Jose Alvarado led a scoreless inning, and then you also had Carlos Hernandez give you a pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Matt Strahm allows an unearned run in the 10th inning, but the Phillies, they do find a way to strike for a pair in that 10th inning as Bryson Stott earlier on in the game off of Edwin Uceta gets his 3rd home run of the campaign. Uceta gives up 3 runs in 2/3 of an inning after Ryan Pepiot lent his best start of the year. 1 run allowed over the course of 6 innings. Garrett Clevenger, a scoreless inning. Mason Montgomery out of the bullpen scoreless, and then Pete Fairbanks gives up an unearned run. It is inning work, and Manuel Rodriguez, 2 runs, 1 of which was earned, given up by him. And for Fairbanks, by the way, the unearned run was off of his own error, so less than tremendous there. Overs have been less than tremendous to the Kansas City Royals this season, but they were able to get the offense going. 10-0, they absolutely take it to the Chicago White Sox as Davis Martin, 4 runs allowed in 4 1/3 innings. Mike Vasil was able to come in, gives you 1 1/3 innings, gives up 2 runs. 4 runs given up in 4 outs by Jared Schuster, and it's not great when Jacob Amaya, the backup shortstop, is in the game. Did lend a scoreless inning though, so credit to him. And with the Kansas City Royals, Chris with K. Bubich continues to be tremendous. .69 ERA, very nice, 7 scoreless innings, and then Chris Strand, Steven Cruz, they're both able to lend a scoreless inning. The Atlanta Braves get the job done against the Cincinnati Reds in 11, 5-4, the final for the Redlegs. Nick Lodolo led a good start. His swing and miss stuff was back, 7 punch-outs, 2 runs allowed in 6 innings. Lyon Richardson gives 2 scoreless innings, and then Graham Ashcraft tries to close it out in the 9th inning, and it was a load of Ashcraft, giving up 2 runs over the course of his inning of work. From there, you had Lewis May give you a scoreless 10th inning, but you had Taylor Rogers give up the RBI single to Mr. Baldwin of the Atlanta Braves in the 11th inning that ended the game. And for the Cincinnati Reds, you did have Reese Hines go deep in this one off of Raciel Iglesias, his first home run of the campaign, as it was a very good start from Spencer Schwellenbach. 1 run allowed over the course of 6 innings. Rafael Montero, more like Rafael Montero Bull, got 1 out, gave up a run out of the bullpen. Dylan Lee gives you a pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Pierce Johnson scoreless inning, and in the 10th and 11th innings, Scott Blewett did not live up to his name. 2 scoreless innings, but Iglesias does give up that home run to Reese Hines, 2 runs in total allowed in his inning work, so press the game into extra innings. And you did see a lot that went on here. As for the LA Angels, they do find a way to blow this one against the Toronto Blue Jays, this by a count of 8-5. As for the LA Angels, they get up 4-0 early on in this game, and then they just get blowtorched. As Chris Bassett did not have it in this one. Hook, line, and sinker. He was taken 5 runs, 4 of which were earned, including a pair of bombs allowed to Taylor Ward, 8th home run season, and Joe Adell is 4th. For Jose Soriano, I'm not going to call it the world's greatest start, but allows 3 runs over the course of 5 innings. He'll live with that, and then from there, the bullpen was not great. Brock and Roll Burke gives up a run in an inning. He did get a scoreless inning out of Jose Fermin, but 3 runs given up without a single out from Ryan Johnson. Then Connor Brogdon has to fill the 8th and 9th innings. He does allow a solo home run along the way. Dalton Varsho, he gets home run number 3 of the campaign, and after Bassett came in, Yuriel Rodriguez was able to hold down the fort for the Toronto Blue Jays. And if you're looking at what we are seeing in baseball right now, it's been all about the favorites, both this year and over the last 7 days. 59-32, the hit rate for favorites on the money line. That's over 64.5%. The over rate just a bit ahead of the under rate, 47 overs to 45 unders, so a little bit under 51% there. And if you're looking at the entirety of the season, unders are rating at about 51.3%, 261 overs, 275 unders. Meanwhile, favorites, they're rating at a clip of nearly 61%, 339 and 217 on the money line. So that's what we're seeing in baseball right now, and that's what we all got on Thursday. Now let's talk with our good friend Colby Marchio about how he's taking a look at these player props and so much more right here on the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the Beast Family Podcast.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by this man, as Colby Marchio. He's doing a great job over at Your Better News, taking a look at this great game of baseball that we all know and love. I know he does a great show called Up Your Units as well, where he's helping bettors be able to get to the window, inform them of what he's all liking on the card for the day, and I know that he is doing a tremendous front job as well on the front of college basketball and so much more. Really a five-tool player when you take a look at it. You're able to follow him on Twitter/X at Colby M. Betts all together. And Colby, great to get you aboard. Thank you.
The last thing I would think of myself is a scout's dream, but I really appreciate you thinking that, saying that. It means a lot. I honestly, the way how bad I was with college basketball this season and how mediocre I was with football, I think I'm just a one-tool player as of right now with baseball, but it's a cold week for me. I was definitely due for this. You know, Greg, we both know how long the baseball season. We've been referring to the last month and a half of baseball as the first drive of the season because it's such a long season. And I may be at my first up, down, and I'm in the down part of this roller coaster. So I'm trying to not overthink things right now.
And when it does come to that, because as bettors, we always have our ups, we have our downs. It is a long season, as you referenced. Just what do you do when you try to overcome sort of those cold streaks? Because I think that there's a lot of people that they sometimes try to do a little bit too much, and sometimes they either A, force up bets that they wouldn't in the past, or B, walk away from winners altogether because they have no confidence in themselves.
You know, it's funny. That happens to me when I'm too hot. I'm like, oh, I got to do it again today. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could be as good as I was yesterday. But I do think when I start feeling the slump, like the last 2 days have not been great to me, but they could have been better. I'm really starting to overthink. The season's long, and I'm picking and choosing guys maybe based on value. Maybe I'm like, well, if he hits, this would be really good for today's card. But it's tough to not overthink as a bettor when you do it every single day. You're like, well, if I win this, or if I test this, how hot am I right now? Like, people always want to try and test and see how hot they are. Me, I just want to have a day of green every single day, but we all know that's not going to happen. Something I probably should do and start doing is maybe shorten up the card. I usually have around 10 plays a day. Some people are probably thinking, well, that's a ton. Most of them are quarter units if you eliminate the home run bets that I include with hit props. So I'm really not betting a ton. Usually it's 10 bets, 5 units out. And if 5 units is a lot to some people, I mean, I probably should lower it down. So it's really tough to judge. But as long as my advice to people that are wondering, well, how well am I doing with unit management? If it doesn't hurt having a bad day here and there, you're probably fine. If your day's ruined by it, you're probably betting too much.
Yep, I think that that's a very good way of putting it, and I think that that's a nice line of demarcation because you never want to be betting more than you can afford to lose, and we are going to have our ups and our downs, but if you're able to overcome the downs, it leads to a lot of ups. As Colby Marchio, he is giving us a thumbs up on being on the podcast. He's joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show, and certainly it has been an interesting week to say the least, and just what has been one of the biggest takeaways they've had over the last few weeks of betting these props, because I was mentioning this last time you joined me, and I think that's worth bringing up as well. It has been so sporadic what we've been seeing in terms of home run props where it feels like it's really all or nothing every game, and you don't get a lot of in between because you'll get like one day where nobody's going yard, and then the next day everyone's going yard.
It's so weird. There's nothing to really say about it. I mean, it's point to as of right now, at least in my opinion. I think it's funny that Tuesdays, obviously there's always the Dinger Tuesday for certain books out there that give boosts for home runs. And then people will always say, well, that's usually the day we don't have home runs. That's probably just not true. You're probably just sadly on the wrong side of your bet or whatever. But it's really interesting to see how a lot of games are kind of blowouts. I don't recall seeing this many double-digit run games in the first month and a half of the season. Like Detroit Tigers put up 9 runs in Colorado. Did we all know that was coming? Probably, because the Rockies rotation is atrocious. Something I keeping an eye on right now, not in terms of prop, but a future. I know that probably doesn't answer your question, but I think the Giants are starting to get more interesting to me, and maybe them to make the playoffs is something I'm slowly keeping an eye on. I don't know why I keep looking for futures when I have enough already. That's probably something I should tone it down a bit. But I think the Giants are a fun, exciting team that are worth looking into at plus money, not in anything below even money, I would say. But I'm definitely going to probably pull the trigger in the next couple of days just to see how things go. They look great against the Cubs. Cubs are one of the best teams right now. They're number one in first five scoring. There's a lot going on. Also, Greg, I don't want to get too far on this, and I'm sorry if I'm going off track, but I have to ask you something because this just happened, and I need your thoughts on it. Devers being upset and not wanting to play first base. I need your thoughts. Is this guy just not a team player? It's been on my mind. I needed somebody to talk to about this. I need to know your thoughts on Devers right now because I don't even want to touch his props. And I knew today he would homer. And that's the worst part about it. I knew he would homer.
Yep, with Rafael Devers, it's been such a roll of the dice, and I think that we just need to let it play out in general right now because there's just, I don't know if it's just me, but it just feels like there's something off with this entire Red Sox team because with the Red Sox, they've been up, down, all around. Alex Bregman has actually been really good to start the year, and typically he's really cold to start out years, and then he typically gets better more in the summer months, but with Tristan Casas going down for the season, that's caused a little bit of strife, and I'm sure that you're feeling this way as well as I do with the Boston Red Sox. Man, this is not a bullpen that you want to be trusting in whatsoever, and I think that if you had the old Dos Equis commercial, the most interesting man in the world, they might be the most interesting team in baseball right now.
And as a Yankee fan, I don't like any Boston sport, but they're so interesting to me. And I don't think a younger version of myself would ever expect me to say this, but I enjoy watching them because I can't stand how poorly Devers is playing out the gate. Meanwhile, Alex Bregman just looks like an all-time savior right now. I think Devers is the whole problem of them not looking as good as they should. They do look good. Don't get me wrong. They look good. I think they could look a lot better, a lot better. And Devers is holding them back. His selfishness is showing every single day. Sure, he has his bright moments like he had a single double and a home run, I believe. If I'm mistaken, I'm sorry, but I know he homered. So he doesn't look like himself. He really doesn't. You can't believe somebody who's basically the face of the team is being so selfish about where he's playing. I don't know how he could be content with playing as just a DH when he was a third baseman before.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so interesting to look at him all season long. This entire Boston Red Sox team, it's been up, down, all around with them. Just feels like there's been no consistency. And they lost 2 of 3 games a few weeks ago to the Chicago White Sox. And I think that very much speaks to my point. As joining me on the show, we do have Colby Marchio. He does great work over at Your Betting News. Joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show. And certainly we've got a lot of intrigue when it comes to Friday. And I think that it's also very intriguing to take a look at these bad teams because I mentioned it with the Chicago White Sox, and man, are they bad. And for the Colorado Rockies, they're going to be facing off against the San Diego Padres after a doubleheader where they got completely crushed in both games. How do you just take a look at, for lack of a better term, fading the bad teams? Because I know you're always looking at home run props. I know you're always looking at positivity there, but I think that sometimes just the best bets that you get is fading these absolutely awful teams.
I knew we would talk about this, Greg. I was watching Antonio Senzatella pitched last week. I was baffled and impressed that he was throwing above 90 miles an hour when he looks like he's throwing BP. His delivery is so nonchalant. He's a meatball machine. He is so bad that I was impressed that he was throwing above 90 when every pitcher knew what was, or every hitter, knew what was coming. That rotation is just atrocious. No matter where you put them. And just to let the people know how bad they are at home, especially, they're giving up 4+ runs in the first 5 innings. It's 4.31, I believe, is the exact number. That is flat out terrible. And I want to be a part of every first 5 team total of whoever they're playing. I don't care if it's the White Sox, because they'll give it to me at probably 1.5. Close to plus money, because that's also a bad team. I think looking at bad teams versus good pitching, there's value there, because I think the hitters have a significant advantage against bad pitching 9 times out of 10. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if you're going up against Antonio Senzatella and he's throwing something mid-80s, you're going to hit the crap out of the ball.
Yeah, and when you look up bad pitching in the dictionary, you'll see a picture of Antonio Senzatella right there. So
we're going to miss him when he's gone.
how coming off of major surgery, the Colorado Rockies decided to keep throwing him, I have absolutely no idea. I appreciate it, but I have no idea why they've stuck with him. And right now I'm seeing that Padres run line at like minus 115 right now, and I don't see why you don't take that as well. But I mean, it is really interesting when you take a look at some of these pitchers right now because Randy Vasquez is going to be going on the flip side for the Padres. How do you evaluate a guy like a Randy Vasquez who right now, I'm not even kidding when I say this, he's giving up north of 6 walks and only 3.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. And we've got a lot of these guys. Like Eric Fetty hasn't given up a lot of homers, but he's given up a ton of walks. We're seeing that with Mitchell Parker. He's not giving up necessarily a ton of homers, but he's giving up a ton of walks. And it feels like that's sort of the theme of the day with the pitchers that we're seeing on Friday. Look no further than Roki Sasaki.
Yeah, those usually, I've been looking more into pitchers' hits allowed. And if they give up a ton of walks, I instantly just say that is not the play, and we're going to go to first 5-team total over. And I think I did that with Freeland. If I'm wrong, the number was too high on his hits allowed. But I think that's a good look. If you know somebody gives up a ton of walks, all you need is a couple hits to get in some runs in a couple innings. And if they can't find the zone and they're struggling to find the zone, take advantage of that. Like you said, the Rockies are not a good team going against Vasquez. Bad pitching, good bad offense. You might get a good number on the offense to score some runs.
Yep, you certainly can, and I think that that's such a good way of being able to decipher things and just being able to cut through it all, because I do think that some of these high walk, low home run pitchers are some of the most interesting in all baseball. Looking at you, Andre 3000 Palante of the Cardinals, who it just feels like nothing makes sense with that guy either, so always some good, clean family fun. And how have you also been taking a look at some of these new ballparks as well? Because I know that out there in Sacramento, the ball has just been absolutely flying out. And for Tampa Bay, that's a new ballpark where we've been seeing things be a little bit different as well. And I just find it to be so hilarious that right now we've got a total between 10 and 10.5 with the Yankees and the Athletics for Friday. And I wholeheartedly agree with that total. And with regards to Tampa Bay Rays, I do think that for their ballpark, it's been a little bit more hit or miss this season.
Yeah, I was excited for this Phillies Rays series that is basically coming to an end tonight. I have Schwarber's home run and H the double R. And I know it's people are thinking at home, knowing when they listen to this, that I probably am going to lose both of these bets because I was 2 games too late on taking him when I knew in my gut that 2 games ago that it was going to be a game Schwarber hits a nuke. He hit a nuke in that game because that field is just built for hitters. That Steinbrenner Field in Tampa Bay, it's warm down there. The ball's going to move. Same thing with Sacramento. You're 2 ballparks where you're going to get pretty much magnificent weather no matter when the games are being played. Tampa, it's only going to get better for hitters because the heat is only going to rise. It's only May, and it's 83 right now in Tampa. It's only going to get hotter as the months go by, and that ball is going to fly further. Sacramento, probably the same thing, but not as hot, not as humid. But those are 2 ballparks I get excited for when the Rays and the Athletics are at home, as I got Brent Rooker to look forward to. I got whoever Taj Bradley gets to face because he is strictly hard contact, and then he's somewhat of a decent strikeout pitcher. As in years past he was. This season, not so much. His K rate is down significantly.
Yeah, his K rate has been down very significantly, and I think that it is going to be interesting to gauge both of those new ballparks moving forward as well. And has there been any specific team, any sort of specific shall we say, attribute of a player as well that you've been taking a look at that has really been profiting for you recently as well? Because now we are starting to get that full data set. We've got 6 weeks through the season. Has there been anything that has really just been working out for you over the last few weeks?
It's funny you asked that, and he hasn't played, I think, in 3 weeks because I miss him that much, Greg. Matt Wallner. I don't know when he comes back, but I miss him every single day.
Yes.
The books sleep on him as if he's a bad player. I just miss the value. I would bet him every single day and feel happy about being on him because that's how much the books do not care about the value of how good of a player he is. He'll bat in the first 3. He'll bat leadoff for the Twins. They'll give you minus 115 for his hit. They'll give you near 2-1 for his bases. They'll give you 5-1 for his home run. This is pretty much a 5-tool player. This is a fantastic athlete. And you're going to give me odds as if this is Yasmani Grandal? Don't do that to my guy, Matt Wallner. I miss him so much, Greg. And it sucks that I don't know when he's coming back. And I feel like it's not going to be the same when he comes back. Hopefully it is. Oh, I just thought of him, Greg. I just thought of the answer. Evan Carter's back. And I have the biggest sweet spot for Evan Carter. I can't wait for that data to accumulate because he's back and he's a very underrated talent. If you don't know who Evan Carter is, he plays for the Texas Rangers. He was a huge piece for that team in 2023 when they won the World Series. He was a double maniac in that playoff run. He is good. He battles every at-bat. It felt like in 2023, I still remember because I love him that much, that every at-bat went full. He battles that hard, and he is a fantastic player, and I really hope that he comes back from this injury and he's as good or better than he was 2 years ago. So that's a guy I'm really looking forward to analyzing more as the weeks go by now that he's back in the lineup.
Yep, that is going to be a lot of fun. And boy, do the Texas Rangers need him because they are 28th in terms of runs per game. It's been really rough to look at that, to say the least. And the way that Marcus Semien, Jock Peterson, and Jake Berger all have fallen off the face of planet Earth has been amazing. But you know what? As they fall off the face of planet Earth, we need something reliable. And Kobe, you are that and then some. You do an absolutely incredible job taking a look at this game of baseball on a few different shows. So let the good people at home know what's all on tap for you and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
Yeah, as always, I appreciate the invite every single time, Greg. I always have a blast. For the people listening, you can follow me on Twitter/X, whatever you refer to it as. It'll always be Twitter to me. Colby M. Betts, that's Colby MBETS. I go live on betting news every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with my two shows, The Pickoff and Up Your Units. You can see them. You'll know when they go live on my Twitter account. If you give it a follow, I post all about them all the time. And now I go live every single Saturday at 1 Eastern on VSiN, giving out my plays for the Saturday slate. So a lot going on. All my picks are free. You can follow, you can watch or read my write-ups on betting news. Everything's free. Everything's always transparent. And hopefully we have a great rest of our summer and enjoy this magnificent sport that we love near and dear, Greg. This is the best time of the year.
It is a great time of year, and it's better when it's spent by talking with Kobe about it because he's doing such an incredible job taking a look at this great game that we all know and love of baseball. So big thanks to Kobe for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. And coming up next, it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis out of game on the betting board for this Baseball Friday as we catch them all.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball, this is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by Colby Marchio. He does an absolutely amazing job over at Your Betting News, taking a look at this great game of baseball that we all know and love. Every single time he joins me, lends such great insights. Did so once again today, so a big thanks to Kobe for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Friday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that, as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at gunit_81, and we're going to be going in Las Vegas Station order. This is where we go through the National League games first, then the American League games, any intra-league games. Those are going to be at the bottom. That'll keep things all nice, neat, clean, and easy. So how about if we do go with this first game, which is mostly off the board, 951, 952 on the betting board. It is the Atlanta Braves. They are on the road. They're walking the plank to play against the Pittsburgh Pirates as Bryce Elder is on the bump for the Buccos, and it appears as though it's going to be Bailey Fulter, hoping to not live up to his aim for the Pirates. The only place I'm seeing a number up on this game is FanDuel with the Braves, minus 148 plus 126 on the Pittsburgh Pirates, total of 8.5, over is minus 115, and the under is minus 105. And if we do indeed get this pitching matchup, I actually set my total 9.4. Like, I am that all the way out on Bailey Fulter. I know that over at FanDuel, they list Fulter as the TBD guy, but you're figuring that he's probably going to get the start here, and he has been not great. 5.06 ERA, fielding a plan more around a 4.64. Doesn't give up a lot of walks or anything like that, but 1.4 home runs per 9 innings, less than 7 strikeouts, per 9, just giving up a lot of contact in general. And for Bryce Elder, he's been a little bit better this year, but it's not like he's been amazing. He's got a 5.06 ERA. He's posting up a 5.20 fielding pen, and I'm talking about better this year than last year. Last year he had a 6.52 ERA, but this guy's given up 1.7 home runs per 9 innings himself, so both of these offenses should be able to feast in this ordeal. Now, the offense that is far better is that of the Atlanta Braves. Now, they did have to play yesterday, but still, this is an Atlanta Braves lineup that is starting to find it with Alex Verdugo at the top, hitting north of a 270. You've got Matt Olson, who's still having a tough time with regards to batting average, but it's up to 6 home runs this season. Austin Riley, 8 bombs. He's doing a nice job moving line. I like what Eli White is providing at the bottom of the fold. I don't know if it's sustainable with he and Nick Allen stepping up in a big way, but these guys have been rock solid. Marcell Ozuna continues to give you north of 4 on our base, and on the flip side for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Oneil Cruz, 8+ home runs. He's been able to do a tremendous job on that front thus far this season, but outside of Oneil Cruz, what else are you going to be able to get? As Brian Reynolds has been a pretty big disappointment thus far this season, has not really been living up to that billing, as he's giving you just a 281 on base, 5 home runs in 37 games, as Eric Kiner-Falefa is hitting at 280, but got so many of these guys like Tommy Pham, Jack Swiniski, Alexander Canario, these guys hitting below the Mendoza line of 200, Jared Trollo as well, and this is just not an impressive bullpen for the Pirates. It's not the worst bullpen in the big leagues. David Bednar, since getting sent down to the minor leagues, has been a little bit better, but when Ryan Baruchi is one of your better relievers, you know that you're going the wrong way down a one-way street. They're rolling the dice on Tanner Rainey at this point, and for the Atlanta Braves, this has been a bullpen that's been a little bit different this season, with AJ Minter being on the fold for them and not being with the team anymore, but that said, you've been able to have someone like Desbel Hernandez step up, give you a sub-225 ERA, but you're getting relatively good production out of Dylan Lee as well. I like Rossio Iglesias in the closer's role, so circumstance where I would be willing to lay up to a -172 on the Braves money line. I set them -110 on the run line, and then a 9.5 or higher, I'd be looking at the under 9 or less. I'm in on the over, so on those initial openers, we looking Braves run line and that over 903, 904 on the betting board. The St. Louis Cardinals are on the road facing off against the Washington Nationals. Mitchell Parker is on the bump for the Nats, and you got Eric Fetty-Wap on the bump for St. Louis, and St. Louis is a very, very slim underdog, anywhere between even money and -105, and between -110 to a -115 is that number on Washington, and 8.5 is the total. The over is -115, the under is -105, and for the Cardinals, I set them at a -116, so I think that the wrong team is favored. I do like the Cardinals on the money line. With St. Louis, this bunch has been able to do a really good job in general, finding ways to be able to move line. Now, the overall power and home run ability has not been there thus far this season with the team, as they've had Ivan Herrera go on the injured list, who was off to a promising start to the season. That's Brandon Donovan, the way that he's been able to hit about a 330 this season has been incredible. Lars Nootbaar's giving you 375 on base. He's up to 5 home runs this season. Then have a bunch of guys with like 2 to 3 home runs, so again, not a ton of power, but Victor Scott, a 360 on base. Solon Arenado, a 345 on base. Mason Wynn, a 345 on base. So these guys are doing a pretty rock solid job finding way on base. And for Mitchell Parker, he's been able to get out of jams. Like, for Mitchell Parker, I believe that he's a pretty overrated pitcher, because he just has not been able to get a lot of swings and misses as far this season. He's at 4.6 strikeouts and 4.4 walks per 9 innings. He's only allowed 1 home run in 41 and a third innings, but I've got my question marks with him, and he's been getting lit up the last 2 starts. So combined 12 runs, 11 which were earned over his last 2 starts, and for Eric Fetty, this guy has had his issues on the road since the beginning of the 2024 campaign, when he started out that season with the Chicago White Sox. He does have an ERA that is north of 5 on the road, so you do want to take precaution there. Now, we'll say his last 2 road starts have actually been really good at combined 2 runs allowed over the course of 12 innings, and thus far this season for Fetty, 478 ERA, 476 fielding independent. He's getting only about 5 strikeouts per 9 innings, while giving up himself 5 walks per 9. Now, this is a Washington Nationals team that is very much free swinging this season. You do have Gabriel Ruiz, who's made about darn near 300 for this unit, but for Washington, they are very much reliant upon James Wood and what he's able to provide this offense. He's been supplying 10 home runs. He's finding way on base with about a 380 on base, but the likes of a Dylan Cruz hitting below the Mendoza line of 200, you haven't been able to get a lot. These guys like a Jacob Young, Jose Tana, that have been hitting about a 220. Josh Bell has been miserable for this team. That's been rough. Nate Lowe, 6 home runs. He's giving you about a 340 on base, but what really pushes me over the top on taking this Cardinals money line, this Washington Nationals bullpen out of 30 teams is currently 30th in terms of bullpen ERA. You've got 2 guys currently in this bullpen, not named Andrew Chafin, because Chafin has thrown 2 1/3 innings. That is an ERA that is below a 4.09. Jackson Rutledge along Kyle Finnegan, and I still don't trust in Kyle Finnegan. I mean, all these guys, like Ori Lopez, Jose Ferrer, they have been awful this year. Lucas Sims with north of a 12 ERA. Colin Pouchet has been terrible. So that's an issue. And for the St. Louis Cardinals, this has been a bottom 10 team with regards to bullpen ERA. Ryan Helsley, I think, is going to be able to find it this season. He's still, in my opinion, one of the better closers in the big leagues. Kyle Leahy has been able to give you a sub-2 ERA as well. You've been able to get some solid innings as well out of Matt Savanson, who's been able to see a few more moving forward. So I do think that for Eric Fetty, even though he gives up his runs, he does find a way to be able to get the job done here. And I do think that both of these pitchers go in for a little bit of positivity, but still the 8.5 is too low. Semi-total at 8.7. I like the over and the St. Louis Cardinals on the money line. 955, 956 on the betting board. The Chicago Cubs hit the road face-off against the New York Mets. Clay Holmes is on the bump for the Mets, and Jameson Taillon goes for the Cubs. The Cubs do find themselves anywhere between plus 130 to plus 138 dogs, and anywhere between minus 148 to minus 160. That number on New York, and 7.5 to 8 is the total, with the 7.5 over being a minus 115, and the under a minus 105. Seeing straight 8 out there as well. On the under, that is minus 125, and the over is plus 105. And with regards to the New York Mets, I did set them on the money line at a minus 138. So right now we're seeing that creep up to a plus 138, and when we get the dime lines, should be able to find a plus 140 on the Chicago Cubs. I would be willing to take them on the money line. With Clay Holmes, he's actually been absolutely sensational this year. A 2.95 ERA without a single home run allowed this campaign. He has been giving up still a little bit north of 3.2 walks per 9 innings. In his last 2 starts, only 5 strikeouts across 11 innings. So it does feel like he's starting to get figured out a little bit more, and that is a bit of a fear that I have with him. And I do think that this is going to be a lineup that is going to be able to have some success, and that's because they've had success against darn near everyone this season. Number 1 in the big leagues in terms of runs per game. They are generating north of 6 runs per contest, and it's just 1 through 9 for the team, because we talk about Kyle Tucker and rightfully so. He's been amazing. 395 on base, 9 home runs, but Pete Crow Armstrong is up to 9 home runs. Sei Suzuki is up to 9 home runs. Both of those guys hitting above a 250. Ian Happ at the top of the fold, 365 on base. Carson Kelly in 66 at-bats has a 488 on base with 8 home runs. So it's just absolutely crazy. Michael Busch has been rock solid. Dansby Swanson, after a rough start to the season, he's rounding into form now. For the Cubs, this is a bullpen that does rank in the bottom 10 with regards to ERA. There has not been a lot of, shall we say, reliability out of them. Gavin Hullwell is a guy that they're hoping is going to be able to elevate this bullpen, and Drew Pomeranz has been rock solid ever since he's come up, but Porterage has not been the guy that he was a season ago. Ryan Presley, he's been a waste of money to this point. He really blew a game against the San Francisco Giants a few days ago. And then on the flip side, you've got a Mets bullpen that has been in the top 10 with regards to bullpen ERA. Escobar Zoba, Max Kranick, Jose Buto. The long guys have been solid. Still do have my question marks with the likes of Reed Garrett, Ryan Stanek and company, but for the New York Mets, after they had a little bit of a slow start to the season with their offense, much of that was due to the fact that it was very cold outside to begin the season. They have been able to really round in form with having Juan Soto give you 4 home runs over the last 8 days. Francisco Lindor, he's been able to supply about a 355 on base. He's up to 7 bombs. And then Pete Alonso, 450 on base, 9 home runs. He has been incredible. Still need to get a little bit more out of Mark Vientos, Brandon Nimmo. These 2 guys having rough seasons, but even Nimmo's up to 7 home runs this season. So it's an interesting ordeal. I do think that you're going to get plenty of offense here. I did set my total at an 8.3, so I'm going to be willing to take a shot on the over, and plus 138 or higher, I'm in on that Cubs money line. 957, 958 on the betting board. It is the Colorado Rockies, and they play us to the Slam Diego Padres, as Antonio Senzatella is on the bump for the Rockies, and Mr. Andy Vasquez is on the bump for the San Diego Padres. Right now, most places have this number off the board. I am seeing 1 or 2 stray openers out there at FanDuel, and right now, we're finding that total at 10.5. The over is at minus 128. The under is plus 104. And for the Padres, minus 164 on that money line, minus 111 on the run line, plus 138 is that number on the Colorado Rockies. And guess who I'm not betting on? That's right, the Colorado Rockies, because these guys are terrible. I set my number at a plus 218, so I am very much looking at the Padres on the run line. I'd be willing to lay up to a minus 145 here, and it's not that I'm some sort of stan of Randy Vasquez or anything like that, but my gosh. Like, this is a Rockies team that they had to play a doubleheader yesterday, figuring that you are getting Antonio Senzatella, because right now, that's actually the piece of the puzzle that we don't know to this point. He has been giving up just so much general contact. 14.9 hits per 9 innings, a 583 fielding independent. He's getting 4.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. He is a human pinata out there right now. And then for Randy Vasquez, it's not like this guy's a Mona Lisa Vito of getting swings and misses either. 6.7 walks and 3.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. 390 ERA, but a 510 fielding independent. And the fact that his fielding independent is a 510 is actually rather incredible, but when it comes down to it, this is a Colorado Rockies team that even at home, they've had a tough time hitting this season. Like, they're pretty much league average in terms of run creation at Coors Field, which is supposed to be a cheat code for offense. You've had Jordan Beck be able to supply 5 home runs. He's been able to about a 275 for this unit. Hunter Goodman is up to 5+ home runs this season, but he's hit like all but one of them when he's been on the road this season. You've got like some Michael DeGlia, Jacob Stallings, Brenton Doyle, hitting a 225 or lower. Ryan McMahon-Cattees hit below the middle sign of a 200. And then for the San Diego Padres, while they've dealt with injuries, they've now got Jackson Merrill back in the fold. That's going to be helping them out moving forward. And you've had Fernando Tatis Jr. be absolutely amazing this year. 9+ home runs. He's been able to supply north of 400 base. Now, Manny Machado only had 3 home runs this season. You could use him to be able to pick up the power a little bit, but it still has been able to do a pretty solid job in moving the line. He's been able to give you about a 370 on base. Xander Bogaerts not hitting for any power whatsoever. 1 home run thus far this season, but a 331 on base. They're getting Luis Arraez back after he had that Sunday night baseball collision as well. And even Jose Iglesias has still been at his advanced age, still relatively okay at being a move line. A little bit of a slow start to the season here, and Jason Hayward just has not been able to give you too much of anything whatsoever. But also for the San Diego Padres, how about number 1 in the big leagues in terms of their bullpen ERA? You've had so many guys be able to come in and fire on cylinders. You've got Jeremiah Estrada, Jason Allen, Alec Jacob, Adrian Morejon, Yuki Matsui, all these guys, pretty much other than Morejon, are providing a sub-265 ERA, so that has been rather impressive to see, and I do think that Robert Suarez just is going to continue to be one of the best closers in all of baseball, so I do think that the Rockies have their hands full, especially with Victor Vondick now on the injured list for them, and you've got a few guys like a Jimmy Harrigan be able to step up in this bullpen, but on Shavili, still giving you an ERA that's hovering right around 5. Tyler Kinley has still been absolutely awful for the team, so as long as I'm able to get in on a -145 or better, I'm going to take a shot on the run line of the San Diego Padres. And right now I'm seeing that opener at 10.5. I'm looking at the over semi total at an 11.4. 959, 960 on the betting board. The LA Dodgers hit the road. They're facing off against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Eduardo Rodriguez goes for the Snakes, and Hiroki Sasaki is on the bump for the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, who find themselves between -122 to -130 favorites, between +110 to +117. That number on Arizona, 9.5 to 10 is the total. On the 10, the under is -120, and the over is even. On the 9.5, the over is -115, and the under is -105. And I did set the Dodgers at a -123 on the money line. I'm seeing a -122 out there. That's my absolute max lay, but I'd be willing to lay it in. Hiroki Sasaki, I can say what you will about the walks issues. He's got a 5.10 fielding dependent, but the ERA continues to be a 3.86. He has yet to give up more than 3 runs in a single start thus far this season. And he clearly has really good stuff, just has yet to be able to hone in on it. He's been able to go deeper into games as well, 5 2/3 innings or more in 2 out of the last 3 starts, and that's big because the Dodgers have had to use Ben Casparis in a little bit of a bullpen game over the last few days. It's been a bullpen that has been dealing with some injuries. Blake Tryon currently being on the injured list, not having Brusar Graterol has been hurting this team quite a bit as well. So I do like while they're running in a format, obviously, with the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is one of the more fearsome lineups that you're going to find in all of baseball. When you've got Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, you know that you're doing well there. And for Betts, he's been a little bit down this far this season, but you know that he's going to be able to excel when the lights shine brightest. And with the LA Dodgers, you've also had Mr. Will Smith get jiggy with it. He's been able to do a nice job, give you about a 400 on base himself. You've had Teoscar Hernandez slug out 9 home runs. He's hitting above a 300 as well. And on the flip side, we've got an Arizona Diamondbacks lineup that is actually number 1 in all baseball in terms of runs per game since the beginning of the 2024 season. And I can throw out much of the 2024 campaign. Corbin Carroll was absolutely awful for them. Now he's been awesome. 9 home runs, about a 370 on base. You've had a few injuries for this team, so being able to get back Ketel Marte of the Marte Parte is big for you. You've had Alec Thomas hit near 300, Geraldo Perdomo north of a 390 on base, and Josh Taylor is hitting about a 300 as well. And then Eugenio Suarez, well, he's not hitting for any average whatsoever, 10 home runs this far this season. And for this Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen, it has been marred by a little bit of injury with A.J. Puck currently being out of the full, but Jalen Beeks, Juan Barrio, these guys have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. You've been able to get some okay innings out of Ryan Thompson. He's had a rough start to the season, but in the past has been a pretty rock-solid and trustworthy bullpen piece, so I think that'll do a solid job. And for Rodriguez, while he does have a 5.92 ERA, that fielding dependent is more around about a 4.10. He has been allowing 1.7 home runs per 9 innings, but he's also hurling about 10.7 strikeouts per 9 innings, so I do think that there's a little bit of positivity there. Additionally, with Mr. Rodriguez, 442 home ERA compared to a sub-32 ERA on the road. So I think that he gives a little bit of better start here. As a result, I did set my total at 9.2. I'm going to be taking a look at the under, and for the Dodgers minus 122 or better, I'm looking at Roki Sasaki and company on the money line, with him being backed by the likes of a Tanner Scott. You've also got Kirby Yates, Jack Dreher. These guys have been able to do a really good job in the bullpen supplying that sub-3.5 ERA. I think that that'll be enough to be able to get the job done. So 108 here with the Dodgers, and I'm in on this under 9-11, 9-12 on the betting board. The Detroit Tigers, they play us to the Walker Texas Rangers, as you got old Patrick Corbin, the turkey tosser, on the bump for Texas, and Derek Skubal is on the bump for Detroit. And Detroit does find themselves as Mondo favorites here. Anywhere between minus 245 to minus 265, and between plus 215 to a plus 224 is that number on Texas. 7.5 is the total. Over is minus 115. The under is minus 105. If you're looking to lay a run half with the Tigers, that is minus 125, and I do not want to go a hair above minus 125, but I'm willing to lay that run line here with the Tigers, because Drake Skubal has just been that dominant. He had like 1 or 2 starts to begin the season when he was out there on the West Coast that were a little bit less than savory, but ever since then, he has looked like the Drake Skubal that we all know and love. 3 runs allowed across his last 5 starts. He's gotten 8+ strikeouts in 3 of his last 4 starts, and he just continues to be able to have amazing command. 1.1 walks to 10.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's a strikeout to walk ratio of 9.6. He has been absolutely filthy, and he gets to go up against a Texas Rangers lineup that, well, they have been anything but filthy at the plate this far this season, unless if you're a pitcher and you're looking to advance your numbers, as they're 28th in the league in terms of runs per game, with about 3.3 runs per contest. By the way, Pittsburgh down to 3.1 runs per game. That's not great, to say the least. But for Texas, really, other than Wyatt Langford, they've had close to no offensive production whatsoever this year. It's Langford give you well above a 350 on base. He's been able to do a nice job slugging out 6+ home runs this season. So I absolutely love what he's been able to bring to the table. And now they're getting Corey Seager back off the injured list as well. That should be able to help out this team moving forward. But man, it has been a case where you've had a lot of guys hitting below the Mendoza line of 200, and not just hitting below the Mendoza line of 200, hitting below the Mendoza line of 200 and providing absolutely no power whatsoever, as you've been getting that out of Marcus Semien, Jake Berger, Jock Peterson. These 3 guys have been absolutely awful this far this season, and you've had not really a lot of production as well out of someone like a Evan Carter ever since he came off the injured list. So we'll see if he's able to give you anything moving forward. So there's been a lot of issues there. Jonah Heim, though, give you a 350 on base, and Josh Young has been able to move the line a little bit, but again, no power whatsoever with this lineup. And for the Detroit Tigers, this team has really been able to fire on all cylinders, with the way that Spencer Torkelson has been able to come into his own. 10 home runs this season. His on-base percentage starting to slide a little bit, but still at about a 350 on-base. Eck McKinstry, north of 375 on base himself. Riley Green is up to 8 home runs, hitting above a 265. Dylan Dingler, Gleyber Torres, both hitting in the neighborhood of a 300 as well. And for the Detroit Tigers, this bullpen has been oh so dominant this season, as since the All-Star break of 2024, top 2 team with regards to bullpen ERA. A lot of guys like Tommy Kahnle, Will Vest, Brad Herter is able to give you multiple innings on command. Tyler Holden, they're all able to give you a sub-3 ERA. And then on the flip side, the Texas Rangers bullpen hasn't been awful, but it's been far from tremendous as well, as I just have absolutely no faith whatsoever in Luke Jackson, who's been providing north of 5 ERA. That said, you've had a few other guys be able to step up into this bullpen, give you good innings like a Robert Garcia is giving you right now, sub-2 ERA. Obi Milner, along with Sean Armstrong, have been able to do a pretty solid job as well. But that said, I just don't have a lot of faith in Patrick Corbin either, even though ever since he became Spider-Man 2.0, he's actually been able to do a little bit of a better job for the team. He's not giving you a lot of deception. His strikeouts per 9 rate, that's hovering right in the neighborhood of about a 6.2. He's been giving up 3 walks per 9 innings, 328 ERA. He's backed up by a 479 fielding dependent. That tells me that he's been getting quite lucky this year, and I do think that that luck runs out, and I don't think that the Texas Rangers do their part with regards to this total. So I did set my total at 7.4, at 7.5. I'm going to be willing to take a shot on the under, and with the Tigers minus 125 or better, I do like the run line. 963, 964 on the betting board. The Boston Red Sox are on the road facing off against the Kansas City Royals. Michael Lorenzen is on the bump for the Royals, and Hunter Dobbins is going for the Red Sox. And the Red Sox find themselves as very slim favorites here. You're going to be getting them anywhere between minus 110 to minus 118. Meanwhile, between minus 105 and plus 102 is that number on the Royals, and 9 is the total. Over is minus 115. Under is minus 105. I did set the Red Sox at a minus 104 on the money line. If you're looking to lay a run half, you're going to be getting anywhere between about a plus 140, plus 145 or so. So this is going to be a case where I'm going to be trying to see if the Royals could become any sort of bigger underdogs. Like right now, I'm seeing a plus 105 coming onto the board. Plus 105 or higher, I would be looking at the Royals here. I recognize that for Michael Lorenzen, he was a very lucky pitcher last year who had a fielding independent that did not match up with his ERA, and thus far this season it has been a little bit tough for Michael Lorenzen, as he has been giving up right around about 1.9 home runs per 9 innings. His ERA is above 4, and he has been getting less than 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. Hunter Dobbins, on the flip side, he's got a 3.78 ERA through 3 career pitching appearances, and he's been able to keep the ball in the yard through this small sample size, but again, it's a very small sample size. You even go back to last season when he was over at Worcester, and he was also in Portland out there in Maine. He was posting up about 8.5 strikeouts to 3.5 walks per 9 innings at the minor league level. Has always been really good at inducing soft contact, and that does put me very much on the under. I'm going to be looking there, as I did somebody tell it at 8.7. Royals, bottom 5 team in the big leagues with regards to runs per game, even with yesterday's outbursts. You've had Bobby Witt Jr. start to come to the forefront a little bit more, and all season long he's failed to provide a lot of on-base percentage. He has been able to give you north of a 370 with regards to that on-base, but that said, he's only been able to give you about 5 home runs thus far this season. Salvador Perez is just having a rough season in general. He's only been able to give you about 2 home runs. He's hitting for a 240. You're starting to see a little bit more out of Eddie Pascantino, up to 6+ home runs, but still a 270 on base. Have a lot of guys like Hunter Renfroe, Michael Massey and company now moving the line. And on the flip side for the Boston Red Sox, got the whole Rafael Devers situation, which has good, clean family fun to say the least, but you shall see what's going to be happening there. But when it comes to Alex Bregman hitting north of 300, he's been able to give you 7 home runs. That's been pretty rock solid for the unit. Additionally, for this Boston Red Sox team, you've been able to get a lot of production recently out of Jarren Duran, who had a rough start to the season. He's now starting to be able to hit about a 260. Still would like to see a little bit more there. And for Devers, of course, even with all the first base situation stuff, he's now finding his bat, 380 on base, 6 home runs. Weiler Abreu has been able to give you 9 bombs as well, but the bottom of the fold has been rough. Tristan Casas is now off for the season, so Carlos Narvaez, Ceddanne Rafael, these guys give you a sub 300 on base. You need to get a little bit more out of them, and for the Royals, this bullpen has actually been really good. Daniel Lynch has been able to give you some really nice innings. Additionally, you've got a duo in Carlos Aceves along with Lucas Erceg, who in the 8th and 9th inning is about as dominant as it's right now getting in the American League. And on the flip side for the Boston Red Sox, Brendan Bernardino has been solid in the bullpen, and Liam Hendricks, I wasn't sure what you'd get out of him this season. So far, so good, but it's a small sample size. You've had a lot of guys, though, that have been interesting to say the least. Justin Slayton has not given you very good innings whatsoever. They tried out Michael Fulmer for a game or two. That was not great, to say the least. Justin Wilson rolled the dice, and Aroldis Chapman is your closer. So it's an interesting circumstance here. I would be willing to take a plus 105 or higher on the Royals. So looking at that money line, and with regards to this total, so I'm at 8.7 at the 9. 965, 966 on the betting board. The Baltimore Orioles are on the road against the LA Angels. Tomoyuki Sugano is on the bump for the Orioles, and the professor, Kyle Hendricks, goes for the Angels. Angels, underdogs of anywhere between plus 118 to plus 129, minus 140 to minus 145. That number on the Baltimore Orioles, 9 to 9.5 is the total. On the 9, the under is minus 115, and the over is minus 105. On the 9.5, under is minus 115, and the over is minus 105. And did set my total at 9.1. Personally, I would rather take a 9.5 under rather than a 9 over, just because I do think that there's a little bit of upside here with Sugano. He had a few relatively rough starts of the season, and he had just 9 strikeouts through his first 5 starts of the season, but he comes over from Japan. You know that he's going to be able to do a nice job in terms of being accurate, in terms of not completely hurting himself. Still only giving you about 4.8 strikeouts per 9 innings, but 12 punch outs over his last 2 starts has looked quite a bit better. 300 runs or fewer allowed in each of the last 5 starts. And for the LA Angels, you saw them without Mike Trout last year be one of the most deplorable offenses in all of baseball. And without Mike Trout, once again, it's not going great for these guys, as you've got still a few guys that are able to hit the deep ball. Logan O'Hoppe has been rock solid. He has been able to give you 9 home runs like Trout was doing before he went on the injury list. But even before Trout went on the injury list, he was hitting a .179. That's not great, to say the least. Or it's Larry Taylor Ward, a combined 13 home runs out of these 2 guys, but both are giving you a sub 300 on base. Zach Neto has given you a bit of something, and Kyron Paris is up to 6 home runs, but Kyron Paris is hitting at 230. Joe Adell is certainly setting fire to the rain. He, along with Taylor Ward, who I mentioned before, Tim Anderson, all at the Mendoza line of 200 or lower. Moncada looks pretty washed at this point as well. And then on the flip side, for the Baltimore Orioles, they've been very inconsistent with regards to this offense as well, because some of the guys that you expect to really be stepping up and giving you good performances just have not been able to do so. While Gunnar Henderson is sitting at 250, 5 home runs at 116 plate appearances and a sub-300 on base, not cutting it. Adley Rutschman, Heston Kjerstad, Jordan Westberg, who's currently on the injured list, Ramon Laureano, all these guys are hitting at 220 or lower. They're trying out their Emmanuel Rivera now. Ramon Urias has actually been rock solid, hitting for about a 350 on base. And I like Ryan O'Hearn. 7 home runs thus far this season. He's been able to give you north of 300 on base. They should be giving him more at-bats. And Jackson Holliday is starting to come into his own a little bit. But Cedric Mullins, after that great start to the season, he's starting to fade a little bit. And for the Orioles, this is a bottom 10 team in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. This despite the fact that you've got Yunier Cano, Felix Bautista being a really good 1-2 punch in the back half of that bullpen. And Brian Baker has been solid, sub 250 ERA, but Sir Anthony Dominguez continues to be Sir Anthony Dominguez, and Gregory Soto continues to be Gregory Soto. You cannot trust on either of those two guys. Ciano Perez is rocking an ERA that's north of 9. Grant Wolfram does not appear to be the answer in this bullpen either. And for the LA Angels, they have the worst bullpen ERA in the American League. So that's a big trepidation that you have with this under, because all these guys are bad right now. Kenley Jansen, typically in a non-primetime spot, is pretty rock solid, but you put the lights on brightest, and man, he is not good to say the least. And you just take a look at some of these schlubs right now. Ryan Johnson, Garrett McDaniels. I mean, they were trotting out there for a little bit of time. Jake Eater, whole bunch of guys with a north of 5 ERA. And then for our good friend, the Professor Kyle Hendricks, just has never been a strikeout guy. His strikeouts per 9 rate this far this season is 4.7. Now, to the credit of the Professor, he's always been relatively solid in terms of not putting guys on cheaply or anything like that, but he is giving up darn near about 1.4-ish home runs per 9 innings, so it's a little bit of a roll of the dice there for Kyle Hendricks. He's not the world's worst starter, but boy, is he far from the world's greatest. 5.28 ERA as of right now, so it's a very interesting circumstance. I just don't really trust in the Baltimore Orioles on the road at this point. Sugano, I feel like, could fade into being a little bit of a pumpkin. Both of these bullpens are rough. Both of these offenses are inconsistent. So I tell 9.1 side and 9.5. I'm looking at the under, and I'm going to be willing to take the Angels on the money line, set them at a plus 106. 967, 968 on the betting board. The Seattle Mariners are going to be playing against the Toronto Blue Jays. Kevin Gausman goes for the Jays, and you've got Luis Castillo on the bump for Seattle. Seattle is a favorite between minus 135 to minus 140, plus 118 to plus 122. That number on Toronto. 7 to 7.5 is the total on the 7. Over is minus 130. Under is plus 110 on the 7.5. Under is minus 115, and the over is minus 105. And for Seattle, I did set them at a minus 147. So I'm going to be willing to lay the money line for Kevin Gausman. He's been up, down, all around this far this season, because his strikeout stuff, it feels like it's there for 2 games, and then it goes into the abyss for 2 games, and then it's back for 2 games. You just don't know what you're going to be able to get out of him, man. Over his last 5 starts, he has allowed 1 earned run, 2 runs, 4 runs, 6 runs, and then 0 runs. So you either get really good Kevin Gausman or you get really bad Kevin Gausman, and not a lot of in between. 8.5 strikeouts and 2.7 walks per 9 innings as far this season out of him. And then for our good friend Luis Castillo, his velocity has been down and his strikeout stuff is way in the dump right now, as he's been only able to give you about 7 strikeouts per 9 innings, 3.8 walks per 9 innings, 3.29 ERA, but a 3.87 fielding dependent. Last time he faced off against the Toronto Blue Jays, gave up 3 runs at 5 innings, so a little bit less than savory there. But since that start, has given up just 1 run over the course of 12 innings, only gave up 5 hits in that span as well. Again, he's not getting the same amount of strikeouts that he did earlier in his career, but good news for him is that he's going up against a Blue Jays team that is in the bottom 4 in the big leagues in terms of home runs on a per at-bat and a per game basis, so that should be able to help him out. Vlad Guerrero Jr., even though he's still moving the line, giving you north of a 350 on base, this guy's power just has not been there. Anthony Santander is up to 5 home runs, but he's hitting below the Mendoza line of a 200. You've been able to get good production out of George Springer, has been able to give you darn near 400 on base, and Bo Bichette, he's starting to hit north of a 285. Once again, that's actually down to a 277, but still in that vicinity. But again, these guys are just not giving you that power. And then when you got guys like Alan Roden, Will Wagner and company doing a big giant nothing burger at the bottom of the fold, that does hurt them. And for the Seattle Mariners, this has been one of your top scoring teams in the American League, but as we know, in T-Mobile Park, it actually suppresses offense more so than Coors Field elevates offense in terms of ballpark factors. Cal Raleigh, big dumper, has been able to give you 12 home runs with a 3.60 265 on base. You've had a rough start to the season for a few guys. Julio Rodriguez, hitting just a 230, and then you got Rowdy Tellez, the newly on the injured list, Luke Raley, Donovan Solano, these guys hitting 225 or lower, but with the way that Ori Polanco has really stepped up, nearly a 400 on base with 9 home runs this far this season. J.P. Crawford is moving line. He's giving you 400 on base. Randy Arozarena, he's not hitting for a lot of average, but he's been able to give you 375 on base. That's rock solid. And for both of these teams, they've got their ups and downs with their bullpen. For the Blue Jays, Yimi Garcia, Jeff Hoffman have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA, and I've been liking what I've been seeing out of Chad Green as well, even though the ERA isn't the world's greatest. But when you do get into some of those long guys, it becomes a big giant roll of the dice. And when it comes to the Seattle Mariners team, Andres Munoz is one of the best closers that you're going to find in all of baseball. It's all about getting him the ball. You've had someone like a Casey Lucamina, along Carlos Vargas, be able to supply a sub-3 ERA. They've been really nice surprises this season, but Trent Thornton has been awful. He's got north of 5 ERA. Taylor Skato has been an absolute disaster as well. So interesting sort of circumstance. I did set my line at a minus 147. Don't want the run line, but I do want the money line here of Seattle. I did set my total at 7.3. When it's all said and done, I think that we're going to get a 7.5, and I'd be willing to take that 7.5 under. 969, 970 on the betting board. The Athletics playoffs to the New York Yankees. Will Warren goes for the Yankees as Valdo Beto is on the bump for the A's, and the A's do find themselves as an underdog between plus 120 to plus 127, minus 137 to minus 145. That number on the Yankees 10 to 10.5 is the total. On the 10.5 under is minus 115, over is minus 105. On the 10 over is minus 120 to minus 125. The under is between even and plus 105, and I'm going to take plus 113 or higher on the A's. So I'm going to be willing to back Beto. This is Operation Fade Will Warren once again, because this guy in Will Warren just does not belong at the big league level. I wish I could put it any other way, but that said, with our good friend and Mr. Will Warren, he's right now posting up a 5.65 ERA. Recognize that the fielding independence is a little bit better because he's been getting north of 9.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, but 1.3 home runs, 4.7 walks allowed per 9 innings. Beto, he's had a little bit of a rough go of it as well. 5.76 fielding independent, 4.71 ERA, 1.7 home runs, 3.5 walks per 9 innings, all while not necessarily getting the world's greatest amount of swing and miss. And what we've noticed in Sacramento, scoring up big time. The A's entire team ERA at home of 5.33. That is the second highest out there in the American League after one of the most pitcher-friendly ballparks out there in Oakland. But that said, this is a Sacramento A's team that has been able to fire on all cylinders with regards to their offense. Tyler Soderstrom, Brent Rooker have both been able to give you 8+ home runs. Rooker was having a little bit of a tough time getting on base towards the beginning part of the season. He's been able to rectify that. Lawrence Butler has been a little bit up, down, all around, but he's starting to be able to move the line for the team as well. And Jacob Wilson, he draws no walks whatsoever, but my goodness, this guy's hitting a 357 right now. Miguel Andujar, who's been dealing with a little bit of injury, he's been able to get hit for north of a 300 as well. JJ Bleday starting to give you a little bit of production as well. I really like what I'm seeing out of this lineup. And then with the New York Yankees, this has been perhaps the most fearsome lineup in the American League this season with Aaron Judge. Give you a 491 on base with 12 home runs. Just absolutely sensational what we're seeing there. Paul Goldschmidt down with regards to his power numbers, but 391 on base. You've got Jazz Chisholm on the injured list, but he wasn't really a move the line for the team. And Trent Grisham, 10 home runs and 89 at-bats. That's not something that I had on my bingo card for this year, but there you go. Ben Rice is starting to regress a little bit, but still 8 bombs, 350 on base. And for the New York Yankees, this is a bullpen that is honestly relatively solid. Obviously, you got Devin Williams doing Devin Williams things. That's not great to say the least, but you look outside of that, Luke Weaver, he's been able to post up a sub-75 ERA, not just like a sub-375 ERA, sub-75 ERA. Ian Hamilton has some good stuff. He's posting up right around about a 340 ERA. Tim Hill has been relatively rock solid as well, like what I'm seeing on Fernando Cruz. And for the Athletics, you're starting to find some trustworthy bullpen pieces. So Mason Miller over the last week or so has been a little bit suspect for the team. I'm not going to lie to you, but you've been able to get some good production out of the likes of Grant Holman, Justin Sterner, a pair of guys who've been able to give you a sub-1 ERA. You've had really good production as well out of Jacob Lopez in a little bit of a longer role as well. So with the A's, I do think that they get to Will Warren here, what is going to be a high-scoring slugfest. Set by total 7.7. I like the over, and I do like the A's on the money line. 971, 972 on the betting board. The Tampa Bay Rays, they're going to be playing us the Milwaukee Brewers. Jose Quintana is on the bump for the Brewers, and Zach Little hopes to come up big for the Rays. The Rays do find themselves anywhere between minus 108 to minus 112 favorites, and between minus 102 to minus 110 is that number on the Brewers. 9 is the total. Over is minus 125, and the under is plus 105. Set the Rays at a minus 103. So we are currently in a little bit of wait-and-see mode. Whoever becomes the underdog, I'm going to be willing to back them, though. If you're looking to lay the run line of the Tampa Bay Rays, you're able to get a plus 180, and I would be willing to take a shot there. If I absolutely had to play this right now, I would lay the run half, and I would take the plus 180. Zach Little has certainly been coming up a little as far as the season for the Tampa Bay Rays. Really doesn't give up a lot of walks, but he's just given up a lot of hard contact. 2.2 home runs per 9 innings. So he's got a 4.61 ERA, but the fielding independent is a 5.63. He's only getting 5.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's rough to say the least, and he was a pitcher that was much better when he was out there at the Trop rather than on the road last season. So you do have your red flags there. Meanwhile, for good friend in Mr. Jose Quintana, this guy I think is doing for a lot of regression. We saw him get hit hard last start against the Chicago Cubs. He gave up 6 runs in that one. Right now, 4.38 fielding independent compared to a 2.83 ERA. Only getting 6.5 punch-outs per 9 innings. He's allowing 1.3 home runs per 9 innings. I know that Quintana's overall ERA is relatively down, but I don't have a lot of faith in him moving forward. But I do have faith in the Brewers being able to get quite a bit out of Sal Frelick along with Bryson Terang, who have both been able to give you north of a 275 with regards to their batting average. And the Brewers unit that they don't necessarily have the world's greatest amount of home run power. Nobody has north of 6 home runs on the team. That would be Jackson Trio, Christian Yelich. We're both supplying that, and Yelich only hitting about a 200. He's never going to be back to that MVP form, but William Contreras ever since a rough start to the season, 360 on base. Rhys Hoskins at 375 on base. In fact, even Isaac Collins be able to give you a little bit of something for the team. Now, I will say these guys like Oliver Dunn, Vinny Capra, those like platoon infielders have been less than tremendous, to say the least, but liking what I'm seeing there. And for the Brewers, this is a bottom 10 team in the big leagues with regards to bullpen ERA. That should be going northward. Last year, they were number 1 in the National League with regards to that bullpen ERA. Only guy that's missing from that bullpen is Evan Williams, and we've seen his work this far this season. And Abner Uribe was not even a big part of that. He's been able to supply a sub-2 ERA. So these guys that have been struggling a little bit this year, like Trevor McGill, Yul Payams, Elvis Piero, Jared Koenig, they should be able to pick it up a little bit more. Meanwhile, for the Tampa Bay Rays, this continues to be a top 8 team with regards to bullpen ERA, and they just do such a good job of mixing and matching with regards to that bullpen, as Pete Fairbanks is obviously one of the best closers in all of baseball, but that's at Eric Ordze. Throw in there Edwin Uceta, Hunter Biggie. All these guys are able to give you a sub-325 ERA. They've been rock solid. Mason Montgomery has had a bit of a rough start to the season, but he's going to pick it up. But when it comes to the Tampa Bay Rays lineup itself, it does get to be a little bit suspect. They've been hitting better at home than they have in past seasons because now they're playing outdoors instead of indoors. Junior Caminero, 6 bombs this far this season, but just a 271 on base. Andy Diaz, after a rough start to the season, he and Jonathan Aranda both give you 5 home runs, and Aranda north of 4 on base. Andy Diaz is hitting about a 255. You've got some of these guys that are struggling out there. Danny Jansen, Taylor Walls, Jose Calabreo hitting a 225 or lower, though Calabreo is up to about 321 on base. And Cameron Mincer, after a nice start to the season, he's starting to regress just a skosh. So interesting, a little bit of circumstance here. I do think that the Rays find a way to be able to get to Quintana, so somebody tell the 9.1. At the 9, I'd like the overhand at a plus 177 or higher. Looking to lay a run off with the Tampa Bay Rays run line. 973, 974 on the betting board. The Philadelphia Phillies set the road to face off against the Cleveland Guardians. Kevin Williams goes for the Guardians. Aaron Nola is on the bump for the Phils. Phillies are between minus 115 to minus 120 favorites, and between even money to plus 108 is that number on Cleveland. 7.5 to 8 is the total. On the 7.5, overs minus 120, the unders even. On the 8, the unders minus 115, overs minus 105. And for Cleveland, I did set them at a plus 129. I'm going to be willing to lay it with the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, for Aaron Nola, throughout his career, he's been a significantly worse pitcher away from home rather than at home. A career 324 home ERA, 422 ERA on the road, and it has been a struggle this year for Aaron Nola. Even though he's getting right around about 9.9 strikeouts per 9 innings, he's posting up a 461 ERA. He's given up 1.3 home runs per 9 innings, but it's not like Kevin Williams has been the Mona Lisa Vito pitching either. 5.06 ERA, 5 fielding independent, 1.7 home runs allowed per 9 innings. Now, it's a Philadelphia Phillies bullpen that is right now just a big giant roulette wheel. You've got pretty much nobody other than Matt Strahm along with Jose Alvarado who've been able to give you good innings. Ryan Kirkering has went down the toilet bowl. Jose Ruiz is not necessarily reliable for the team. Tanner Banks, you never know what you're going to be able to get out of him. But on the flip side for the Cleveland Guardians, after they have by far the best bullpen in all of baseball in terms of ERA, they've seen a little bit of slippage this season. They decided to acquire Paul Sewald, who's out on the injured list, and even when he was out there was less than savory to say the least. You've still got a few guys that have been very rock solid. Tim Aaron, Cade Smith, Hunter Gaddis, all these guys give you sub 325 ERA. And Joey Cantino has really become a nice multi-inning guy in that bullpen as well. But Emmanuel Clase has not been right all season long. You've had a few of these other guys like Jacob Junis and company be a little bit more of a roll of the dice. And for the Cleveland Guardians, this is a very top-heavy lineup because Stephen Kwan at the top of the lineup, he's been able to give you north of 375 on base, hitting for some relatively solid power. Kyle Manzardo is not necessarily giving you a lot of average at a 211, 8 bombs this far this season, but you've had Jose Ramirez just be stuck this year. He's hitting for about a 275 home runs, which isn't bad, but that's not Jose Ramirez, and it's Gabriel Urias. He's been able to about a 285 for the team, but then you've got the guys towards the bottom of the fold, like Nolan Jones, Brian Rocchio, Bo Naylor, John Kenzie Noel, only a 200 or lower, and you're just getting absolutely nothing there. Meanwhile, for the Philadelphia Phillies, the team is in the bottom half of the big leagues with regards to home runs out of per at-bat basis, but that should be going northward. You've got Kyle Schwarber, who's been able to give you 12 home runs north of 4 on base. You've had Nick Castellanos do a nice job, move the line, sitting about 285. Bryce Harper down for his standard, 6 home runs with 370 on base, but he's going to pick it up. You've had Max Kepler start to be able to give you a bit more offensively, and even these guys at the bottom of the fold, Demando Sosa, Yohan Rojas, being able to 300 or better. You like to see that. Alec Boehm has been rough this season, but he started to pick it up a little bit as well, and you know that Bryson Stott is going to move the line, get on base, so interesting circumstance here. Did somebody tell it at 8.1? I really don't have a lot of faith in either of these starters, so we're going to have the over, and with the Phillies, I'm willing to lay up to a minus 128 on that money line, 975, 976 on the betting board. The Chicago White Sox play us the Miami Marlins. Max Meyer is on the bump for the Marlins. Bryce Wilson is on the bump for the White Sox. 8 is the total. Over is between minus 110 to a minus 115. Unders between minus 105 to a minus 110, between minus 140 to minus 145 is that number on the fish, and you're getting between plus 130 to plus 135 on the Southsiders. Set the Miami Marlins at a minus 166. I'm going to be willing to lay the money line. Now, before I go any further, make sure you check this pitching change in the AM, because there have been a lot of cases where Bryce Wilson has had an opener used for him as they were trying that system. It actually seemed to work quite well, but they seem to have abandoned it once again, and that's because the Chicago White Sox have no idea what they're doing. But that's it for Max Meyer. 3.92 ERA thus far this season, a 4.09 fielding dependent. Just all about giving up the hard contact, giving up about 1.6 home runs per 9 innings. Strikeout stuff has been nasty. He's been able to get 12.8 strikeouts per 9 innings, albeit in his last start against the A's, he had 0 strikeouts in that one, but had a combined 28 strikeouts in each out of his previous 3 starts. Do you think that swing and miss comes back against a Chicago White Sox team that's not good at the plate, to say the least? A bottom 5 team in the big leagues with regards to runs per game. Andrew Benintendi has been able to supply you with 5+ home runs, and he's been able to do a pretty solid job in terms of being able to move the line, but he's been injured over the last few days. Lennon Sosa is starting to give you a little bit of something. He's hitting for about a 250 or so. Miguel Vargas gives you a little bit of on base, but he, Luis Robert, Andrew Vaughn, Jacob Amaya, Joshua Palacios, all these guys that just can't hit to save their lives, all hanging below 220. And then when it comes to this bullpen of the Chicago White Sox, they're still one of the worst in all of baseball. Mike Vasilla has actually been halfway decent in a long roll, posting up a sub-2 ERA, but pretty much guys not named Vasilla have been absolutely terrible. They trotted out there Mike Clevenger for a little bit of time. I think that they sent him back down to the minors. Cam Bougier's been rough. Caleb Freeman's been rough. You're getting nothing out of Penn Murphy, so this is less than savory to say the least. And for the Miami Marlins, they have one of the worst pitching staffs in all baseball as well. You've got the Anthony Veziano, along with also Anthony Bender, and Anthony Bender has been relatively solid in this bullpen. I'm not going to lie to you there, but that said, you've had a lot of guys like George Soriano and company just not really work out for this Miami Marlins bullpen. And for the Miami Marlins, the big thing is they just play a lot of station-to-station baseball. They're actually pretty solid with that as well. Kyle Stowers has been one of your main power hitters, 375 on base percentage, 6 home runs this season. Matt Mervis has been able to supply 7 bombs, but he's hitting below the Mendoza line 200. But Dave Myers is hitting north of a 300 for the team. Xavier Edwards had a cycle last season against the Brewers. He's only giving you like 0 home runs, but he's been able to give you about a 325 on base. Eric Wagaman is starting to move the line just a little bit for the team, having the likes of Griffin Conine be injured, but Javier Sanja, who's been able to hit at 275, has been a nice find as well. Do think that the Marlins go out there, take it to a guy in Bryce Wilson that I just have absolutely no faith in whatsoever. Like, this guy does not get strikeouts. He's not necessarily the world's greatest command pitcher. He doesn't do the world's greatest job of being able to keep the ball in the yard. Thus far this season, posting up a 5.56 ERA. He's allowing 2 home runs per 9, and he's only getting 6 punch-outs per 9, 4.5 walks per 9. Really no redeeming qualities here, and can't give you a lot of length. So, did somebody tell it at 8.4? I do like this total over on the 8, and I'm going to be willing to lay the run line of the Miami Marlins. Currently, you find that at a plus 115. I was willing to take even money or better. 977, 978 on the card. The San Francisco Giants hit the road to face off against the Minnesota Twins. Chris Paddock is on the bump for the Twins. Jordan Hicks goes for the Giants, and the Giants are underdogs, if anywhere between even money to plus 107 and between minus 115 to minus 125. That number on the Twins. 9 is the total. Under is minus 115. The over is minus 105. I did set my total at an 8.8. I'm going to be willing to dive in on the under, mainly because Chris Paddock has looked a little bit better recently for the Twins. And if you look at his entire career with the Minnesota Twins, his fielding independent is about 0.7 points lower than his actual ERA. So I do think that there's a little bit of positivity coming for him. Now, for Chris Paddock, the big issue that he's had is giving up a lot of hard contact. The last few seasons has actually been a relatively good command pitcher, but that said, when you're giving up the home runs that you are, thus far this season, 1.7 home runs per 9 innings, and the command that he had the last few seasons has went straight down the toilet bowl. 4.5 walks per 9 innings, that's an issue. 5.57 ERA and a 550 fielding dependent, but again, 3 earned runs or fewer allowed in each of his last 5 starts, 2 or fewer actually in 4 of his last 5, so that's very encouraging. Flip side, you've got a guy in Jordan Hicks who has been awful this far this season. As for Jordan Hicks, he's right now rocking a nice 6.03 ERA, and I don't understand why they just keep giving him starts. Now, he does have a 341 fielding dependent. He's not giving up a lot of homers, only giving up 2 home runs in 7 starts this far this season, but he has given up 3.5 walks per 9 innings. Good news for him is that he's backed up by one of the better bullpens that you're going to find in all baseball. The San Francisco Giants, currently number 2 in all baseball in terms of their bullpen ERA. You've had a lot of guys who've been able to mix and match. Tyler Rogers has been pretty solid in that bullpen. Camilo Duvall is back to being the Camilo Duvall that we all know and love. Eric Miller, guys like this, Randy Rodriguez, they're coming in there. They're giving you good innings. And for the Minnesota Twins, this is about a league average bullpen. Griffin Jackson's been getting all jacked up by Yohan Duran. I believe is one of the best closers that you're going to find in all baseball. That guy's some really nasty stuff. And Danny Kalum has been a really nice pickup for the team. I don't think that Kalum has given up much more than like 1 run, if any, thus far this season. So, I mean, that's been rock solid for them. But that said, this is still a Minnesota Twins team that is the wind blowing the wrong way away from having Byron Buxton and Royce Lewis go back on the injured list. That's been an issue for this team, to say the least. But Ty France, he's hitting about a 275, and Byron Buxton is hitting a 270. And for Buxton, up to 9 home runs this season. He's really starting to come into form. Matt Wallner being on the injured list has been hurting them, but Brooks Lee, ever since he's come off the injured list, he's moving line, hitting above a 250. Now you need a little bit more out of someone like an Edouard Julien, sitting below the middle line of 200. Mickey Gasper has just never been able to pan out for this team. And then flip side, you've got a Giants bunch that's been one of the better teams on the road in all baseball in terms of being able to hit. Now at home, it becomes a bit more of a roll of the dice because San Francisco has one of the most pitcher-friendly ballparks that you're going to find in all baseball, but that's not slowed down Wilmer Flores from being able to supply 7 home runs along with Matt Chapman for 7 this season. Now Chapman's hitting just a 220, but the 360 on base and the solid slugging percentage is helping him out quite a bit. Eloy Ramos, he's been able to hit about a 250 with 5 home runs. Willie Adames, after a really rough start to the season, about 3 home runs in the last 8 or so days. Jung-Ho Lee has been able to give you a 350 on base. Need to get a little bit more out of some of these guys at the bottom of the fold. Luis Matos, Lamont Wade Jr., Patrick Bailey, only at a 200 or lower, and Tyler Fitzgerald being injured has hurt them a little bit, but that said, I do think that for the Twins are worthy of being a slim favorite here. I did set them at a minus 111. Right now, if you could get this north of a plus 110, I would be willing to take a shot on that money line of the Giants. If you're looking to lay a run at, by the way, you're getting right around about plus 160 or so on the Twins. I would need at least plus 175. And when it's all said and done, I do think that I'm going to be able to get that plus 110 or greater on the Giants. So we'd be looking there on that money line. And did set my total at 8.8. So at the 9, I'm in on the under. And we wrap things up with 979, 980 on the betting board. You got the Cincinnati Reds, and yes, we're on to Cincinnati on the road against the Houston Astros. Hunter Brown is on the bump for the Astros. Nick Martinez is on the bump for Cincinnati. 7.5 is the total. Over is minus 120. The under is even. And for the Astros, you're finding them as between minus 167 to minus 175 favorites, and then plus 145 to plus 155 is that number on the red legs. And for the Reds, I did set them at a plus 174 if you're looking to lay a run half with the Houston Astros, right around about a plus 125, and I'd be willing to take a plus 112 or higher with regards to the Houston Astros. So I'm looking there. Hunter Brown has just been absolutely filthy thus far this season. Like, my goodness, this guy has been going out there time and time again, and he's been absolutely shoving at home, on the road, on planet Pluto. This guy's been absolutely unhittable. Now, they give up 3 runs in his last start against the Chicago White Sox, but even with that, it's given up 4 runs over the course of his last 5 starts, 9 plus strikeouts each out of the last 3 starts, .67 ERA, 181 fielding dependent. He's allowed 1 home run in 43 innings as far this season, 10.5 punch-outs and 2.1 walks per 9 innings. He's looking like one of the best pitchers in the American League. Don't know if I can put him above like Tariq Skubal for the Cy Young at this point, but man, he has been really good. And for Nick Martinez, this guy last year was really good in terms of his command. 1.1 walks per 9 innings, still solid this year. 2.6 walks per 9 innings, 4.19 ERA, but a 3.63 fielding dependent. He's giving up less than a home run per 9 innings. It was a little bit shaky for him to start the season, but 2 runs or fewer allowed in each out of his last 3 starts. So do like what I'm seeing there. This is a Cincinnati Reds bullpen that is not great, but I think that it's pretty darn good. As for the Cincinnati Reds, they did have to play that extra inning game yesterday against the Atlanta Braves, as Lyon Richardson, he has had to be trotted out there a few too many times, and Graham Ashcraft, your long guy, got used up yesterday, so that's a little bit of an issue for them. And Emilio Pagan is someone I just simply don't trust, but Scott Barlow, Taylor Rogers, Tony Santillan, when it's all said and done, they should be able to give you sub 3.5 ERAs. Who knows when we're going to see Alexis Diaz once again as he's at the minor league level. And for the Reds, right now they're dealing with a few injuries with regards to that lineup. Austin Hayes and Neil Marte were really starting to come through for this team. Them being on the injury list is rough, but Reese Hines had like an incredible run for like 3 weeks last year. He comes into the game yesterday and it's a big home run for the team, so that's that's going to be good for them. Matt McClain is able to do a nice job of being able to give you power, but he's sitting below $180 thus far this season. Tyler Stevenson coming back after he was injured to begin the season should be able to help out. Ellie De La Cruz obviously strikes out quite a bit, but he's going to give you stolen bases. He's going to give you bombs, so you like to see that. Kevin Lux is hitting just below a 300 as well. And then you've got an Astros unit that has been one of the bottom 10 teams in all of baseball in terms of run creation, as Yordan Alvarez has been dealing with a little bit of injury over the last few days, and he's now on the 10-day injured list, and he has had a nothing burger all season long. Jose Altuve, he's been able to give you 4 home runs, and he's hitting about a 250, but he's not drawing walks the way that he has in the prior part of his career. Isaac Paredes is hitting at 255 with 4 home runs, but you've got these guys like Brendan Rodgers, Christian Walker, Zach Denzenzo, these guys that just have not been able to give you a ton at the plate. Now Denzenzo has been able to give you a little bit more recently, but Mauricio Dubon is sitting right at 200. Cam Smith has been a disaster thus far this season, to say the least, as well. But what has not been a disaster, the Astros bullpen. The Bryants, Brian King, Brian Abreu, both being able to give you sub 3 or Taylor Scott has been a little bit rough, but you've been able to have Steven Okert give you some good innings. Josh Hader is starting to look like the Josh Hader of old, so interesting circumstance here. I did, as a result, set my total at a 7.8. I do think that there's a little bit of regression coming here for Hunter Brown and for the Houston Astros. I do think that they start to hit just a skoge more, so I'm in on the over, and for the Astros, I'm going to be willing to lay that run line with them, and that'll wrap things up for the Friday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Big thanks to Colby Marchio. He does an absolutely tremendous job over at Your Betting News for joining me in the live segment. If you like what you're hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you do have one of two ways we offer this in. First one is my Twitter /timeline at Juden_81. Keep in mind, letters naming does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline, and the other way is via an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire whatever you like here on this podcast via that 5-star review, and I'm coming at you guys every single day on this podcast during the regular season, which means I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine, and maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them, from disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.